Today's lesson will be on how to set up a Padlet. Padlet is an online bulletin board that can be used to present open-ended questions and allow student responses. This is a great tool for teachers to use to engage students in class discussions. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to Padlet.com, which I already have, and you're going to create an account. So you can log in with your existing Google or Facebook account, or you can use an email and a password. I have an account set up already through my Facebook, but you can do whatever you prefer. So once you're logged in, you come to your dashboard. This is where all of your Padlets you've created will be stored. So let's get started. So what you're going to do is go to the top right of the screen. Here you'll find the option for the new Padlet, and a new blank Padlet will appear. On the right of the screen menu are all of your tools. The paper crane will take you back to your dashboard. The plus will create a new Padlet. The silhouette of a person will list all your Padlets, your account, and give the option to log out. Then you'll have an export, information, and help button. The last is a picture of a gear. This is what we'll be using to modify your Padlet. So we click the gear button, and you're going to pop-up window so that you can use this to make all of your Padlet specifications. We're in the basic information option. So first we're going to give it a title, and I'm going to title this one, How to Use Padlet in the Classroom. Let's fix that autocorrect. Padlet in the classroom. Okay, and then I need to give it a description, give ideas, images, or web links on how to effectively use Padlet in the classroom. Alright, and so basically you're kind of just giving your students a little bit more information as far as what you're wanting them to put. You could even use this part to do more specific instructions or whatever. Okay, and then the last thing is you can pick a portrait. Any one of these it'll pop up a picture right over here on the side in front of your title. It wasn't working earlier today. They must have a bug or an update going on in the system, but I'll show you another Padlet later that allowed me to get that image up there in that corner. Typically it works though. Okay, so now that we've got the basics on there, we're going to click on the wallpaper option, which is here in the yellow box. And here you can choose which wallpaper you like to go best with your post. You can see they have a number of options as you scroll through. So you can pick the one you like best, or you have the option up here to add your own. Okay, so I'm just going to pick the grass one. Okay, so once we've done that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the next option here, which is the layout. Here you choose how your posts are going to be added. You've got free form, basically people just click and post wherever they want. So if I'm on here, you just double click something, and then the students fill in a title. I usually have them use their name as the title so I know who put it in, and then they can add whatever they're going to add at that point. So free form, basically they just put it wherever, and wherever they click is where it shows up. And then the other options are stream or grid. So stream is when they post, one automatically falls in below the other, and grid is, they lay out in a grid-like form. I personally prefer with my students to use either stream or grid because I don't want the problem of having different posts overlapping with each other, and then I'm having to go in and rearrange and fix it. So, and again, I can show you kind of what this would look like on a complete one in a little bit. Alright, so once you've selected your layout, I'm just going to say stream for this case. We're going to move on to the privacy options. And here you're going to regulate access to your Padlet. So you can do private option, where basically the only people that are have access to it, you have to add them through email invitation. You can do a password protection, where if someone has access, that someone goes to this Padlet, the only way they actually have access to it is if they know the password, and if it pops up with a pop-up window that says that they have to enter the password to continue. There's a hidden link. It's a public link, so they're not going to need a password, but if they Google it or whatever, they're not going to find it. So the only way they'd get to it is if they actually know the web address to the Padlet, or there's a totally public where basically anybody has access. Now with these last three options, you've got a second option that you have to pick, which is either people that get to this web link can view it, can write, or can moderate. Viewing means all they can do is look at it. They can't add it, change it in any way. So you want to, usually you're going to want to at least put that they can write, which means not only can they see what's already there, but they can add content to it. And this is typically what I do with my students. The last option is to moderate, and this one is that, they're a moderator of the page. They can change, delete, pretty much have as much control of this Padlet as you do. And usually this is, if students are setting it up as like they're doing a group project and they're collaborating with each other, you want all of those students to be moderators on their page. Or if you and another teacher are working together and both using the same Padlet, you want both people to be moderators. But for the most part, you're going to say that they can write. Okay, so I'm going to put hidden link and can write, which means that the only way to have access if you have the web link, and people that have access can post to it. Okay, and then the last option down here is moderate post. So if you click this option, when someone posts, it will not automatically show up. The only way that it'll show is one of the moderators have to approve that the post can go on the page. And this is really, if you're kind of worried about people posting things that they shouldn't post, you might want to do that. I typically just give my students a little instruction first as far as what's expected and what's not expected, and kind of some discipline that will happen if they don't, or if they're not appropriate with their posts. So I usually, because I don't want to have to go through and check each one, so I don't usually check that. But again, that's going to be up to you. All right, I'm going to skip notifications because I really don't really care to get emails, but I am going to move on to the address. Currently, this is the address that you would have to type in to get to this Padlet. Now, when you have all these crazy letters and numbers, that gets really difficult and very easy for someone to mess up trying to type in. So I usually pick a Padlet address, and so it's going to be padlet.com, your username, and then you can change the ending. So I'm going to say class Padlet, and then it says that it's available, and almost anything is, because your user ID is pretty unique. Okay, so I'll hit pick. And so now if I want my students to get here, I have them type in that address and it takes them directly there. Much easier than those numbers and letter combinations. All right, so now that we have that, that's pretty much, at this point, you are ready to get going. So let's talk about getting your students access. So of course I did say you have the option of just giving them the current address, putting it up on the board, and they can type it in. Other options are, if we go to the export button that I showed you earlier, you have a variety of options. Pretty much all of these will give a link directly to this Padlet page, and that way students can allow their thoughts to the Padlet. So you've got, sharing through different social media. They can subscribe to it. You can email it out, embed it into a website or blogs. You've got a QR code, which we learned about in an earlier lesson. So any one of those obviously will take them directly to this web page. Now the only one is, if you use export, this will basically create a screenshot that you can show posts and what's currently on there, but there's not going to be any way to edit. It's basically looking at an image of the screen. So if you're wanting to give options for editing, you want to use one of the other options. If you're just wanting to take a screenshot, maybe put it on a warm-up page to show your kids, hey, this is what everybody said yesterday, then using an image or a PDF, something like that might work. So it's going to depend on what your motives are here for sharing that content. Okay, so once the students get to the page, again, how do they post? And so I kind of showed you that a little bit ago. You're going to double click, title, John James, and then he can type in warm-up questions. Okay, so they've got the option of just typing it in and going with that. Other options would be, they can upload links, so they can, if they found a website, they could put a web page, photo, video, song. So pretty much upload stuff from the computer. They can take pictures. So there's a lot of options that they can do. Basically, add attachments, add from the internet. They can, if there's a webcam on the device, if they for some reason need to put a picture of themselves on there, they can do that. Really, it's unlimited as far as the type of add-ons that they can do. So there's been YouTube videos, there's been images from the internet, images from computers, documents that they have, which is really awesome, especially if they're using this maybe as a collaborative tool for like a project or research. They can all kind of put everything that they find in one location, and then everybody has access to it. The only thing that they can't do is a webcam video, but pretty much everything else is going to work. So the last thing I want to show you is how to clear your Padlet. So let's say it's the new school year, or it's a different class period, you want to use the same Padlet, but you don't necessarily need to keep the information that's on there. So what you're going to do is you're going to go back to your modified Padlet and hit delete, and you've got a couple options. What we're going to use is the clear all posts, okay, and that's going to clear everything that was on that screen. Now you do want to be careful if you hit that accidentally. You don't want to lose content that's necessary. The other option is if you want to delete the entire Padlet altogether, you can delete the whole thing and it's basically like it never existed, or you can just go back to your main home page. So I do want to show you a couple examples, or at least one example of a Padlet that has, where students have put stuff on here. So this is the free form on the Padlet, and when I originally set it up I didn't have it free form, but this is why I don't do that, is because you do have that overlapping on there. So if I had to stream, all of their content would be lined up. In grid form, it's kind of spread out in this way. Alright, and then you can see here I was able to attach the little picture on there, so you can see really each of mine I was able to put that picture. So for some reason that option is not really working today. Okay, so now that you're set up with everything you need to know about Padlet, your assignment is going to be to create your own Padlet, meeting the specifications on the assignment page, and submit it by inserting the link to your Padlet to the add comment section. Do make sure that if you do password protect your page, be sure to include that in the post prior to submit it. Alright, well, happy posting!